What is up, guys? Beancrew49 here. We're back on the Desolation map. And today we're going to work a little bit more on the Ghetto. That's right. I did some work on ODABs. You guys remember ODABs, right? I did some off-camera work for you guys. I didn't want to bore you with the minutia of getting this building set up. But I'm going to work on a little bit more on it today. I'm gonna do my patented fast-forward routine, just so we can get a lot more than usual done. This is a little bit kind of boring work. You know, it's a lot of repetition. So I hope to entertain you guys through my beautiful voice. So basically, let me talk about this building just a little bit before I get into the question of the week, the creative question. This building is a brewery, obviously, and they're brewing ODAB's beer. And I'm not really copying anything in real life. I'm going on my own here a little bit, but I am basing it on a brewery in Queensland, Australia that I've never actually gone into, but I've seen many, many times. You have to pass by it on the way to AFL games. If you're not Australian and you don't know about the AFL, you should go on YouTube and look at some clips. It is a crazy sport. It's like a mixture of soccer and rugby and ultimate frisbee. It's like a mixture of a bunch of different games put together. It is a rough, violent sport, guys. They don't wear pads and they're elbowing each other in the face. Oh man, it's crazy. But the point I was trying to make is I passed by this brewery a bunch of times when I lived in Australia, and I wanted to, use it as a base. I never actually went in there. This is the 4X, XXXX. One more X than usual. I guess they're trying to deter kids from drinking it. Good for them. So yeah, I'm not basing it off of it. You can go check the picture. You'll see. You can go see, go on the internet, guys, and you can see what I'm basing off of. Just put a 4X Brewery, Queensland. It's in the city of Brisbane. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm going to be working on it. I'm going to do some windows here and, just get this building ready for interior, because I can't wait to do a brewery interior. I've never actually been in a brewery, so I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I should go on a brewery tour before I build this. Who knows? Actually, that's not a bad idea. I can have some beer, and I can take some pictures, have some more beer. Anyway... Yeah, let's get into the creative question of the week, because I love answering these questions. You guys did a much better time this week of coming up with creative questions. I wasn't really sure which one to answer. You guys had a lot of good ones. But I eventually settled on one from Stormzix. You probably remember Stormzix from some PvP matches we had in the past. He's a cool guy. And he asks, what is the most dangerous thing you've ever done? Would you do it again? How about something more dangerous? Oh, I like that question. I think that I mentioned in another video that I'm an adrenaline junkie. I'm a junkie. And if you don't know what that means, adrenaline is the chemical your body produces when it's scared. Okay? And it gives you the faster reflexes, and your senses are heightened, and time seems to change and slow down a little bit. So I love that feeling. I love the feeling of adrenaline. I really do. And I do a lot of things that, will help to make the adrenaline in my body. I'm not a crazy, guy. I love to go skiing. That's a pretty dangerous thing, I feel like. I mountain bike 3 times a week. And by mountain biking, I don't mean I go into the mountains and, ride around on paved roads. I do the off-road, downhill mountain biking. I actually do cross-country, which means I pedal to the top of the mountain, and then I come down as fast as I can, and lather, rinse, repeat, basically. Day in and day out. It's one of the most fun things I've ever experienced, period, hands down. And that's pretty dangerous. I actually shattered my wrist, was that 2 years ago? A year and a half ago? And doing that, I took a jump during a photo shoot. Basically what happened was, I was on a photo shoot for an article I was writing for a park, and I brought 6 or 7 people with me and a photographer, and we go to the first place where I want to take photos, and there's a little jump there, and everyone goes over the jump, and they pansy it. Oh, they sissies. They're being sissies a little bit. So I'm like, alright guys, I'll do it again, watch this. The cameraman's snapping photos, I get some air, pretty decent air, but I land sideways, sort of. And I don't know if you guys know much about mountain biking, but I'm clipped into my pedals. My shoes have clips, and they're stuck to the pedals. And this is to help me climb and all that. And I was going over to the side on my bike, and I was clipped in, and the adrenaline was coursing because I knew I was going to fall, but I couldn't get away from my bike because I was clipped in. I couldn't do it fast enough. So I went down with the bike, and my handlebar slammed into the dirt, and for some reason my hands were still on the bar, and my wrist just went forward, and the bike stood still. It's hard to describe without showing you guys, but my wrist just snapped in half. It was one of the most painful things I've ever experienced, but not pain. It wasn't like physical pain because, like I said, the adrenaline is coursing and you're in shock a little bit after it happens. And you look down at your wrist and it is like limp and it's clearly broken. But for me, it wasn't the pain that really freaked me out. It's the thought that you're in the middle of the woods. You're miles away from any hospital. Even if you get to the hospital, you're not sure if they're going to be able to fix it. So it's a moment of sheer terror where you think that your body is broken forever. And it was the emotional pain that really freaked me out, guys. I was like, oh my god, how are they going to fix this? There's no way they can fix this. But fast forward to a year and a half later, I now have a plate in my wrist, 14 screws. I had to have major surgery. It was bad. So that was pretty dangerous. Would I do that again? I do it all the time. I'm never going to stop mountain biking, guys. I live for that sort of thing. What else? I do all sorts of things. I flew a plane once, and that wasn't dangerous. That wasn't actually dangerous. I had a free, my aunt bought me a flying lesson. And it wasn't dangerous at all because, the flight instructor was there the whole time. But once he let me take control of the airplane, it felt pretty dangerous. It felt pretty dangerous to me. So I got to fly around. I would absolutely do that again in a heartbeat. Like I said in a past video, I would love to fly. If the past question of the week someone asked me, I think I would love to fly. So, if it takes an airplane, whatever. What else have I done dangerous? Oh, one time we went river rafting. My family used to go river rafting every year. And they're not like the most serious rapids, but they're not like small rapids either. I think the biggest one is a class 4, if you guys know what that is. And one time we went, and I was pretty young. My cousin and I decided that the two of us were going to get in a little inner tube meant for a child. So me and him like crawl into this inner tube, like we were on top of each other basically, and we decided to go down some rapids. And he didn't think that was a bad idea. I didn't think it was a bad idea at the time, so we just did it. And so we started going down the river, and we lose the flotation device in the first 10 seconds. Like, not even one of us could have fit on it. We tried to fit both of us. So we're all loose in the water, and as the water starts getting faster and faster, all of a sudden I have no control over my body. The water is taking me where it wants to take me, and there's huge boulders in the water, and it felt like I was in a washing machine. I had no idea which way was up. I was getting spun around like a rag doll. At one point, I slammed my back against a boulder. I didn't know which way was up. I thought I broke my back. I couldn't move, and all I could see is I would see flashes. I'd come out of the water for an instant, and I remember seeing my cousin's legs upside down just briefly for an instant, and I was dragged back under the water, and I was just slamming against rocks, and I thought I was gonna die. I really did. I could hear people screaming on the side of the beach. They're trying to get adults. So my last ditch effort, the river was taking me. So I remember noticing some plant life on the side of the riverbank. So I just stuck my hand out, just hoping to God, just praying that I could grab something and hold on to it. And I grabbed a leaf or something, and it held, but barely. Then it broke, and I grabbed another one, and I was just holding on for dear life. My cousin grabbed on too, so we're just holding on to the side of the river. The river's still pulling us. We can't get out of the water. The adults have showed up at this point, and they're screaming. Everyone's yelling. Oh my God! We eventually dragged ourselves out of the river. And, the adults went back to barbecuing and having beer. And me and my cousin were just we just almost died. That was most definitely the closest I've ever come to death. I haven't really been in, too close to death. I got into a traffic accident once. Kids, don't try this at home, but one day I had a really beater car. And I just wanted to see how fast it could go one night. So 2 a.m, my friend and I go out there. And this car isn't meant to go over 100. It really isn't. But I get it. I was past 120. The speedometer only went to 120. And the needle was just hitting the bottom. Just hitting the bottom. And we're just cruising along. The car is shaking violently. And the light turns red up ahead, and there's no time for me to stop, and a car was at the other light, you know, it was going to cross the intersection. So the only thing I could do was touch the brakes. And I didn't even slam the brakes, I touched them. But, you know, touching the brakes pretty hard at 125 or whatever it was, and in that car just spun around. And it was one of those moments where time just slows down. We did a 360. We didn't flip over. We did a 360. We hit a median, did another spin, went over to the other side of the road into oncoming traffic. And the only thing I really remember from it is looking over at my friend, and he's just grabbing that bar. We call it the O-S bar, the, you know, O-ish bar. Because you only grab that bar when there's an O moment coming on. So that's the only thing I remember from that whole crash. Like, I was driving, but all I remember is looking over at my friend and seeing him grab the bar, and I was like, okay, we're gonna die. We're gonna die. It was a moment of calm and serenity. You know, when you're about to die, I think, I wasn't about to die. All we did was, you know, spin around. There's no traffic really, except for that one car. But yeah, the time slows down, and you know, you see weird things. So I'm gonna wrap that up. We are coming along with the O'Dabs Brewery. Be safe, guys. Okay, happy Minecrafting. Peace.